Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to write and solve word problems with direct variation. So in your word problem, you want to look at and look for the key phrase varies directly. So when you see that, it is going to clue you into what quantities are talking about y values and what quantities are going to be used for your x values. So when you see varies directly, you need to look at the quantities that come before that key phrase. Those are going to be your y values, okay? And the quantities that come after that phrase varies directly. Those values are going to be used for your x values. So what we're going to do first is we are actually going to write our equation. But to write my equation, I've got to have a y and an x value so that I can find my constant of proportionality, my slope for the direct variation equation, okay? They're not always going to use x and y, and if you look and you read your word problem, I don't even see any letters, variables being used at all. So I've got to know which numbers are x numbers and which numbers are y numbers so that I can find my slope, which will help me write my equation. That's why we're doing this. So I now know that the number of muffins are my y value. So I'm going to go reading. A recipe for 2 dozen corn muffins calls for 3 cups of flour. Number of muffins. I have 2 dozen corn muffins. How many is 2 dozen? That would be 24. So I know that I can use the value 24 to plug in to solve for k. And remember, it's y over x, so 24 has to go on top. Now I'm going to go looking for my x values, and my x values are the amount of flour. So 3 cups of flour. So there's my x value. My x value is 3, and I can plug that in the denominator. And now I can just perform that division. So k is equal to 24 divided by 3, which is 8. There is what you are going to plug in for k, and y equals kx. So my equation for this direct variation situation is going to be y equals 8x. And I can use that equation to figure out, to get a graph picture. I can go to a table of values and check any x, y ordered pair that I need to check. But what they really wanted me to do was we wrote an equation, and then we want to estimate the cups, how many cups of flour are needed to make 6 dozen muffins. Okay, cups of flour. Those are my x values. So I'm trying to figure those out. So I know x is equal to question mark. And then it tells me that I have 6 dozen muffins. Well, how many is 6 dozen? So 6 times 12 is 72. So I know that y is equal to 72. So this is where this little table comes into. You may have seen this before. They called this words known unknown, WKU table. Well, what you do for the words is you actually write in your quantities. So what are my y quantities? Those are counting the number of muffins. So we're going to write the word muffins. I call it units because it may be inches or feet, whatever your quantities are counting or measuring. We are counting muffins for our y value, okay? And what else are we counting or measuring? We are counting the cups of flour. So we're all of our flour numbers. So all my muffin numbers have to fill in this top row. All my numbers for flour have to go in the bottom row. So now I'm going to fill in my known column, and this is going to be a number for muffins and a number for flour that come in the same sentence. Well, if you look at the first sentence, it said a recipe for 2 dozen corn muffins calls for 3 cups of flour. So now I'm going to fill in. So flour, I have to put a 3 here, and muffins is going to be 24. And now unknown ratio, that means one of those boxes is going to be a question mark or left blank because they didn't give us that value. That's what we're trying to figure out. So flour. Did they give me cups of flour? Well, no, that's what I'm trying to figure out. So that's going to be my question mark. And I'm going to plug in 72 here because that's how many muffins I have. So I'm trying to figure out if I make 72 muffins, how many cups of flour do I need to use? And so now what we're going to do is we are going to cross multiply and divide. And some of you use the butterfly method where you circle. And if you circle 2 numbers in the same little wing, then you have to multiply. So I just make an X, and the 2 numbers I connect, those are the numbers I have to multiply in my calculator. So I'm going to multiply 3 times 72 and get that product, And then I'm going to take that product and divide it by the other number that's connected to the question mark or the blank box. So I'm going to take 216 and divide it by 24. And that is 9. So I'm going to need 9 cups of flour to make 72 muffins. So I'm going to actually put x equals 9. And that's it. Okay, so we're going to repeat this process again. We're going to find the equation so that you could practice finding your constant of proportionality. And again, I just need 1 point to find k, so that I can write my y equals kx equation, and then we're going to solve the problem. So I need an x and y value. So I'm going to look at varies directly because that's going to clue me into on what quantity is y and what is x. So v comes before. So v, anytime I see a v, that's really like saying y equals. So y equals 36. V, find v, so that means y equals question mark. Okay, so my first y value is 36. And g comes after, so that's telling me that's x. So anytime I see g, I'm going to think x equals, so that's x equals 4. Oh, here's another one, g equals 11, so they're really telling me x equals 11. All right, so I got to figure out if y is 36, what value for x do I have to use here? I have to use 4. So now I have an ordered pair. Now I can plug it in and find k. So I'm going to have 36, and I'm going to divide it by 4. 36 divided by 4 is 9. So I know that my slope for my direct variation is 9. So my equation is going to be y equals 9x. But I need to solve the problem. So let's see what they want us to solve. They want us to figure out the value of v. Find the value of v when g is equal to 11.